Welcome to Black History Matters 2025. Today, we are exploring Freedom's Journal, the first Black-owned newspaper in the United States. I want to start this video with a moment of reflection with a quote from Frederick Douglass. Quote, "Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will." End quote. Let us reflect on what this means as we draw examples from struggles of the past and their relevance in our own times. The history of newspapers. The history of newspapers dates back to ancient times, when governments and merchants used written notices to disseminate information. The first true newspapers emerged in the 17th century, with early publications in Germany in 1605 and England through the London Gazette in 1665. As printing technology advanced, newspapers became more widespread, playing a critical role in political and social movements. In the 18th and 19th centuries, newspapers fueled revolutions, such as the American and French revolutions, by spreading ideas and mobilizing the public. The rise of mass printing in the 19th century made newspapers even more accessible, with sensationalist yellow journalism emerging alongside serious investigative reporting. All in all, newspapers and journalism have always played a vital role in informing the public and shaping history and social movements. Specifically, newspapers have served as powerful tools of resistance for activism and advocacy. Throughout history, people have used print media to challenge injustice, spread ideas, and mobilize for change. Abolitionists in particular relied on newspapers to expose the horrors of slavery and challenge racist narratives. Freedom's Journal was a groundbreaking publication that gave Black Americans a platform to tell their own stories, free from the biases and the limitations of the mainstream press. Before the Civil War, abolitionists used newspapers, pamphlets, and books to fight against slavery. William Lloyd Garrison used The Liberator to call for the immediate abolition of slavery. Garrison was a leading abolitionist, journalist, and social reformer, best known for founding the aforementioned newspaper, The Liberator, an anti-slavery newspaper that ran from January 1st, 1831 to 1865. Garrison was a radical advocate for the immediate and unconditional abolition of slavery, rejecting a gradualist approach. Essentially, he was against those who argued that slavery needed to end slowly over time and not be abolished all at once. Through The Liberator, he denounced slavery as a moral evil, called for immediate emancipation, and gave a platform to Black abolitionists like Frederick Douglass to publish in his newspaper. Douglass would actually go on to publish his own newspaper one day called the North Star, and which we will cover in a little bit. In 1833, Garrison co-founded the American Anti-Slavery Society, which played a major role in mobilizing national and international support for abolition. Garrison's activism made him a controversial figure. However, his advocacy through his newspaper, The Liberator, helped shift public opinion. He celebrated the end of slavery when the 13th Amendment was ratified in 1865, and he ended his newspaper that same year. Although Garrison's paper served the cause of abolition, many Black individuals felt the need for their own Black-run newspaper, one that would be completely in their own hands. For Black Americans, mainstream newspapers often misrepresented or ignored their voices entirely. White-owned papers frequently reinforced racist stereotypes and supported slavery. Even well-intentioned individuals could sometimes censor their Black countrymen. This made Black-owned newspapers all the more essential, as these would provide a space where Black writers could challenge injustice, document their experiences, and advocate for civil rights on their own terms. Black ownership and Freedom's Journal. Therefore, Freedom's Journal was more than just a newspaper. It was a declaration of agency. Before its creation, Black Americans had little control over how they were represented in the media. White publishers dictated the narrative by controlling the press and the finances, often portraying Black communities in a negative or paternalistic light. By owning and operating their own newspaper, Black editors and writers had the power to define their own stories. They could highlight issues that mattered to their communities and push back against racist worldviews and legislation. Freedom's Journal was a turning point in the quest for representation and equality. Freedom's Journal was founded on March 16, 1827, in Manhattan, New York City, the same year that slavery ended in New York State. It was founded by Samuel Cornish and John Russwurm, who was born in Jamaica. Cornish was a Presbyterian minister and a strong advocate for Black rights, while Russwurm was one of the first African Americans to graduate from an American college. In its early years, it distributed more than 800 copies throughout 11 states and the District of Columbia. It reached as far as Canada, Haiti, and the United Kingdom for an annual subscription cost of $3. The newspaper also broadened readers' knowledge of the world by featuring articles on such countries as Haiti and Sierra Leone. It was a 4-page, 4-column, standard-sized weekly. The newspaper was created as a direct response to the racist coverage of Black communities in mainstream newspapers. In its very first issue, the editors wrote, quote, "We wish to plead our own case. Too long have others spoken for us." End quote. This statement set the tone for the paper's mission to inform, uplift, and empower Black readers. It covered issues such as slavery, racial discrimination, education, and Black achievements, providing a vital source of information at a time when Black literacy was actively discouraged in many parts of the country. The newspaper had many overarching goals beyond ending slavery. It sought to promote a national sense of solidarity among Southern and Northern Black people. It was also against the Back to Africa movement that sought to deport freed Black Americans to Africa, even while it promoted pride in a shared African root sense among its readership. It also had general goals such as promotion of education. It encouraged Black readers to pursue literacy and higher learning, seeing education as a key to liberation. The paper also served as a form of networking tool, helping to connect Black activists across different states. One of the more well-known publications for which the Freedom Journal is known is David Walker's Appeal to the Colored Citizens of the World, which was a radical anti-slavery pamphlet he published in 1829 in the pages of the Freedom Journal. Walker, a free Black abolitionist, used the appeal to denounce slavery as a moral and political evil, urging enslaved and free Black people to resist oppression by any means necessary. He directly challenged the hypocrisy of American democracy and Christianity, arguing that white Americans would face divine punishment for their injustices. The pamphlet was widely circulated, particularly in the South, where it was banned due to its incendiary call for Black self-determination and potential armed resistance. Walker's appeal heightened tensions between abolitionists and pro-slavery forces, influencing later Black activists and thinkers before his mysterious death in 1830. Overall, Freedom's Journal quickly gained influence, reaching Black communities across the US, Canada, and even parts of the Caribbean. It provided news that mainstream papers ignored, such as reports on anti-slavery efforts, legal battles, and the achievements of Black individuals. Newspapers in Freedom's footsteps. Frederick Douglass followed in the footsteps laid by the Freedom Journal when he founded the North Star, one of the most influential anti-slavery newspapers in United States history. This is one of the more well-known Black-owned newspapers, although it is just one of many. Frederick Douglass founded it on December 3, 1847, in Rochester, New York. The newspaper's motto was, quote, "Right is of no sex. Truth is of no color. God is the Father of us all, and we are all brethren. End quote. Their North Star was dedicated to the abolition of slavery, civil rights, and social reform, providing a platform for Black voices in the fight for justice. In 1851, it merged with the Liberty Party paper and was renamed Frederick Douglass's paper, which continued publication until 1860. Douglass used his newspaper to challenge racism, advocate for women's rights, and push for the immediate emancipation of enslaved people. Other papers, such as the Christian Recorder and the New Orleans Tribune, also carried on the tradition of Black journalism. Well into the 20th century, Black-owned newspapers continued to play a crucial role, demonstrating that Black Americans continued to struggle in the search for emancipation beyond just ending slavery. In 1910, The Crisis, founded by W.E.B. Du Bois as the NAACP's official magazine, highlighted racial injustices and Black achievements influencing the civil rights movement. Similarly, the Chicago Defender, which was founded in 1905, played a key role in the Great Migration by exposing racial violence in the South and encouraging African Americans to seek better opportunities in the North. The Black Panther Party used the Black Panther newspaper in 1967 to raise awareness of police brutality and racial injustice, strengthening the Black Power movement in the process. All three of these examples demonstrate how newspapers and print media have been instrumental in informing, mobilizing, and empowering Black Americans' fight for abolition, civil rights, social justice, etc. They challenged racism, informed their readers, and built a sense of community among Black Americans while taking back the narrative. Freedom Journal was the first of its kind, but it was just a beginning. Black-owned newspapers have remained a very powerful force even into our modern day. As of recent data, there are approximately 158 Black-owned newspapers operating across 29 states and Washington, D.C., collectively reaching about 20.1 million online readers. Additionally, the National Newspaper Publishers Association comprises over 160 African American newspapers in the United States and the Virgin Islands, with a combined readership exceeding 15 million people. These figures highlight the enduring presence and significance not just of newspapers, but specifically of Black-owned newspapers in the American media landscape. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Black History Matters 2025. Be sure to check out our upcoming videos as we continue to explore the overlooked stories from Black history. The next video will be available on Friday, February the 7th, on our YouTube channel. If you'd like to leave any feedback on this particular video or the program, the link on your screen will take you to a survey where you can leave this feedback. You are also more than welcome to contact the National Abolition Hall of Fame and Museum at the contact info on your screen, or to leave a comment in the comment section below. Thank you.